Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today I'm going to go over the pedal board I had set up for this Sunday, and our songs were The Joy, Made for More, There's Nothing That Our God Can't Do, and Follow. I covered rhythm for The Joy, and I love rhythm on that part. It's got good open chords, it's got good angst, and I just love it. We play that song in the key of B, and that leads to a lot of the resolve. Hits a big open E chord, and I just love that sound. So that was fun to play. And then Made for More was new for me this week. I hadn't played that one before. And I played the higher register stuff on that one. Up here, that F-shaped C chord on the 8th fret. It's kind of lived in that space. That was a fun part to play. And then I also played the higher register parts on There's Nothing That Our God Can't Do. And that one's got some real U2 vibes. So I used the middle position, middle pickup, bridge pickup, quack for that one to have those sweet edge tones. And then I played lower register for the song Follow. Now, that's a new one to me also. That's from Passion. That was all mostly swells. I did some rakes, but it just had a real good feel to it, and it's a beautiful song. Some changes I'm working on. I've been noticing early in my in-ear mix videos, my tone just sounded a little bit less reverbed and delayed than I was thinking. Like I go through and dial this stuff in at home. And then even listening in my ears, it felt like I was a little bit more wet mixed than I was. When I listened back to the recordings, it just seemed a little dry. So one thing I love about my MIDI controller is that you can change things in increments of 10. So it has +1, -1 in any direction, and then +10 and -10. So I was able to get in and just make a couple of quick edits to some of the tones I had set up and get it a little bit more wet without it being overbearing. And so I was happy with the amount of wet mix I had this week. I'm also adjusting my in-ears. So last week, my guitar seemed a little low to me in listening back. So this week I made a little bit of adjustment. We use an Aviom, and it has these lights that light up, halfway lit and then fully lit as you're turning it up. So I think I turned it up a half lit. And then I made some changes to the vocals. I turned those down a half lit light on each one. And then I think I also turned the drums down, but listening this week, the drums seemed a little quiet to me. So I think that's something I'm going to add a little bit more of next week. And then, but it's just, it's fun just messing with that stuff and tweaking and finding ways to get the tones just to sound better. And it's just part of the journey. And it's the part that I really enjoy. So, the setup on the pedal board was similar to how I've been running it. I don't really change a whole lot, but things do change as far as the positions on the dials depending on the guitar. I've got the compressor set with the sustain at 9 o'clock. That's going to put the level just above 3 o'clock, and that gets me slightly above unity. And then my carbon, this guitar is really clean. So compared to the other guitars, I guess there's other Strats I've played that had a cleaner pickup, but I love the way these break up. But I did need to bump my gain a little bit on the carbon. And then I also bumped it on the Signa drive. And I had the carbon and the Signa drive on the whole time. If I needed any kind of lift in dynamic, I would kick on the ODR-1 for more crunch stuff. And then kick on the Soul Food for a little bit more crisp push. And I didn't use the Rat this week at all. And then for the swells that I was doing for Follow, I used the Flashback with that tone print that mimics Deluxe Memory Man. I just love what that does. It just sounds phenomenal. So I'll run through the tones real quick. Oh, also on the HX Stomp, I added an optical trem. I use that for There's Nothing That Our God Can't Do for the little intro parts. So I have that. And then all 8 blocks are taken up. I have that on the first block, the effects loop with the Flashback delay, Eternity delay, and Revelation reverb are on the second block. Third block is the noise gate. And then I've got 2 super reverbs, each with their own cab. And then the Holy Q, the Simple EQ at the end to bump the Holy mid-range. And I'm also bumping the low gain at 1 decibel and the high gain at 2.5, just to push kind of those lower and higher frequencies to get a little bit more full and crisp. It's not something that I necessarily feel like it's missing. If I don't push those frequencies, it's kind of just like pushing that mid, as far as, on their frequency thing, it's just pushing that mid stuff up a little bit more. But just for the sake of having it be a little more pleasant in my ears, I just added that. Here it is with just the amps, and then I'll go off and then on with the compressor, and then each stage of the overdrive. So starting off and then going on. All right, and that was all the drives I had, and I only had those all on for one tiny piece on Made for More. There's a little walk down. And a little bit of wet effect. All right, and then let's see. So for the Joy, this was my bass tone. This is the Snapshot 1. And then I didn't use Snapshot 2. I have that set up for when I play the higher frequency notes on that one, the lead parts. And I don't do that too often. I prefer the rhythm on that one, and Greg covers the lead parts great. And then I do swells on that, and I swell in with the tremolo. And so that would sound like this. And that'd be like my Snapshot 3, and it sounds like this. Oops. So on that song, I spend most of the time on Snapshot 1. The carbon is on, the Signa drive is on, and then I kick on that ODR-1 when that bridge starts to build. And the bridge comes in, we're on an F sharp in the key of B. That's the 5 chord. I love it. All right, so that was the Joy. The next one we did was Made for More. And I had a dryer setup. I didn't use it for most of it. It's my Snapshot 1. And the snapshot for the delay and reverb, the tones are like this. I thought I would use that for parts of the song, but once I got there, it just seemed to be more... just sound better with this setup. This is my Snapshot 2, and it's just got more delay, a little more reverb. And I love the clean rakes on this one. So I'm only on the bridge pickup, and coming into that song, I'm up here on this F-shaped C, and then when we go into the bridge, I keep it on, let's see, actually for the bridge is where I dropped it down to the slightly more dry setting, and then kicked on the ODR-1, and then we come up here. And then I think I swelled in, I know I did, I swelled in for the first part of that song. I think it's the first verse, before we come in with that light rake. And my swell tone was like this. You can hear that pre-delay allow that reverb to kind of bloom after the fact. And I love how that sounds. The next song we did was There's Nothing That Our God Can't Do. And for that one, I activated my middle pickup, which I currently have set up on a knob. I'm modding this guitar, and I've got a whole video I'm halfway done with the before tones and the setup. And then I'll go through the mod process and then some after tones and see if it sounds better. But for that song, here's my snapshot 1. Snapshot 2. And I use that one the most. So that one's going to give me more of my U2 edge dotted eighth stuff. And so I hung out there quite a bit. And then for the beginning, I started off with my, let's see, without the tremolo. This is my swelling tone. And with the tremolo, that intro sounded like this. And then you get those super cool U2 vibes. I just fretted out the chords and then kind of picked between the different strings just to kind of get that galloping sound. That's a fun one. And then for the song Follow, I spent most of the time on my swell tone, and I had the flashback delay on, and I kept that on the whole time. And so the swell tone to my snapshot 3 would be like this. And then when it went into a bridge, I raked the chords instead, and that snapshot would be like this. And the part for the swells, it's got a B and then an E kind of back and forth for a bit, and it sounded like this. And then for the rakes, it was a walk up. We went to E, F sharp, what does that be? D sharp over B, and then G sharp minor. Let's see. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. There are a handful of downloads free for you in the description box below, along with a ton of great song resources, including tabs and presets, even some MIDI controlled messages for the Revelation and Eternity. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.